tale is so chilling, it will haunt your thoughts for days to come. A father who absolutely adored his family decided to take them on a camping trip to the Virginia forest near Jamestown. His goal? To create unforgettable memories with his wife and their little girl. They arrived later than planned, and by the time they found a spot, darkness had already fallen. They parked the car next to a massive tree that filled the air with a sweet, almost magical scent. It seemed like the perfect place to stay. After setting up their tent, the father gently laid his sleeping 3-year-old daughter inside on a special bed, and he and his wife settled on the floor. Everything seemed perfect, but that was before the night took a sinister turn. Hours later, both parents were startled awake by a strange noise. It sounded like something, or someone, brushing against the tree. Through the thin fabric of the tent, they could see a tall, shadowy figure standing just outside, motionless, watching them. In an eerie, old-fashioned voice, the figure spoke. Prithee, kind sir, pardon mine impertinence. Mayhap a cup of water thou couldst spare. Fear shot through the father as he pulled his wife close. Please, leave us alone, he whispered, his voice trembling. I only ask for water, good sir. Reluctantly, the father stepped out of the tent. The darkness was so thick he could barely see, but he managed to fetch a cup of water. He handed it to the figure, hoping that would be enough to make it leave. But instead of drinking, the stranger poured the water onto his feet and murmured, Thank you. I appreciate your kindness. The father, uneasy, asked the figure to leave. But what it said next sent a chill down his spine. This is my spot, and I cannot depart, and neither can you. Confused, the father asked, What do you mean? Look at your feet, the figure replied. The father looked down and froze. Thick, snake-like vines had wrapped around his feet, and his wife's feet too. Their daughter remained untouched, still peacefully sleeping above ground in her bed. Panicked, the father bent down to untangle the vines, but they had already started burrowing into his skin. Can I take a look? The figure said. Bring a light. The wife grabbed the flashlight, and when they shined it on the figure, they recoiled in horror. It wasn't human at all. The figure's body was a grotesque fusion of man and tree, roots twisted from its limbs, bark stretched over its face. The parents were paralyzed with fear, unable to move as the roots held them in place. The figure spoke in a soft, calming tone. Please, don't be afraid. I know my appearance is terrifying, but I mean you no harm. My name is William Fairfax, a man-at-arms from the Jamestown militia. My brothers and I have been trapped here for over 400 years. He paused, his voice heavy with the weight of time. We were part of a convoy sent to establish a settlement, but the roots of this place ensnared us, and we never escaped. Why are you stuck in a tree? And the wife asked. Why do you look like a skeleton? We'll get to that later, William said. Right now, your daughter's safety is more urgent. Terrified, the father grabbed a knife and tried to cut the roots binding his legs. But before the blade could make contact, William screamed, No, if you cut those roots, you'll die. You're part of the forest now, whether you want to be or not. Look around you, William urged. The father swept the flashlight around the campsite. His heart sank. Scattered all around them were bones. Hundreds, maybe thousands of skeletons, littering the forest floor. They tried to escape, William said grimly, and they all perished the moment they cut their roots. father swept the flashlight around the campsite. His heart sank. Scattered all around them were bones. Hundreds, maybe thousands of skeletons, littering the forest floor. They tried to escape, William said grimly, and they all perished the moment they cut their roots. Then, another voice boomed from the shadows. This one was deeper, more menacing. William speaks the truth. If you cut those roots, you're doomed. My name is Hiwata. I've been here for thousands of years. I am of the Navajo tribe. Long ago, my family and many of my people, who lived as hunter-gatherers, wandered onto these lands. We became ensnared by the roots beneath us. The moment they were cut, my entire tribe perished. Now, I am the last survivor, cursed to remain here for thousands of years. I urge you, do not cut those roots, or you will suffer the same fate. Hiwata's gaze shifted to the daughter, still sleeping peacefully. By some miracle, the roots haven't touched her. That's both a blessing and a curse. The father's heart raced as he asked, "What curse?" Hiwata's voice was cold. "Your daughter can't escape. In a few days, her food will run out. The roots will sustain you and your wife, but she's untouched by them. Without the roots, she'll die." The father, desperate, replied, "So you're saying we either cut ourselves free and we maybe perish? Or we let the roots take our daughter and doom her for sure?" Hiwata's eyes darkened. "There's no maybe. You're all already doomed." The parents retreated to their tent, grappling with the horror. Days passed, and they noticed something unsettling. Neither of them felt hunger anymore. The roots were feeding them, just as Hiwata had warned. Another thing, the wife was changing faster, the roots creeping up her body like vines, reclaiming lost ground, while the husband watched in helpless fear. The real terror came when their daughter's food finally ran out. Her cries of hunger pierced the night, each sob twisting the parents' heart. From the shadows, Hiwata's voice echoed, "There's no other way. The roots must feed her." William's voice followed, a chant growing louder. "Do it, do it, do it, do it." The wife, now almost completely consumed by the roots, turned to her husband. Her voice was weak, but resolute. "We're not going anywhere. Just put her on the ground." The father hesitated, tears welling in his eyes. His hands trembled as his daughter's cries grew louder. He grabbed his daughter and was about to put her on the ground. He heard a sound. "Wait." The father froze as he heard a voice cry out,
"Wait, don't put her down yet."
He glanced around and saw William staring intently at his feet. Suddenly, William screamed, "Hiwata, we've got a problem." Hiwata's voice echoed back from the trees. "What's going on?" "The father's roots. They aren't growing like the mother's. In fact, it looks like they're falling off." Hiwata's tone sharpened. "Are you sure?" William turned to the father. "Are the roots really falling off?" The father nodded, eyes wide. "Yes, they're slipping away." William's face lit up in excitement, his demeanor shifting quickly to something darker. He spun toward the forest and bellowed, "Hiwata, the roots have fallen off the father. It's confirmed. The forest has rejected him." A heavy silence fell over the scene, broken only by Hiwata's chilling command. "Then it's time to feast." William's expression darkened as he looked at the father, sorrow in his eyes. "I'm truly sorry," he said, voice laced with regret. "The forest rejects those it doesn't need. The roots feed us, but in return, they demand flesh. We've hunted the animals into extinction here. We feast on rejected visitors. Hiwata's voice boomed again. Time to eat. Time to feast. From the shadows, twisted figures emerged, their eyes glowing with ravenous hunger. The whispers grew into a sinister chant. Time to eat. Time to feast. The creatures lurched forward, a grotesque blend of decaying flesh and plant life, with roots and leaves sprouting from their rotting bodies. They were living nightmares, closing in on the family with terrifying intent. Panicked, the father turned to his wife. "We have to get out of here." When she lifted her head, he realized in horror what stared back at him was no longer the woman he loved. She had transformed, a grotesque hybrid of zombie and plant, her skin pale and cracked, with vines weaving through her body. Her eyes now gleamed with the same insatiable hunger as the creatures advancing on them. A twisted smile spread across her face as she whispered, "It's time to eat." A twisted smile spread across her face as she whispered, "It's time to eat." Desperate, the father grabbed the propane tank from the tent, his hands trembling as he sliced it open. Gas hissed into the air, thick and suffocating. His face was twisted with rage and fear as he held the lighter aloft. "Stop, or I'll burn this entire forest down." His voice cracked, yet it echoed through the trees like a curse. Hiwata's voice slithered back from the shadows, commanding,
Everyone, stop.
The forest, ancient and alive, fell into a silence so deep it felt like time itself had paused. The towering figures, neither fully human nor plant, stilled. Hiwata's glowing eyes locked onto the father, cold and indifferent. "Strike that flame, and you and your family will perish with us." The father, sweat pouring down his face, choked out, "Why? Why do you want to get rid of me? This doesn't make any sense. I can leave. I can get help." Hiwata smiled, a grim stretch of his lips that chilled the father to his bones. "You are a smart one. The roots let you go for a reason. You are carrying the seeds of this forsaken plant." His voice grew darker, heavier as he continued. "We've had experiences with those rejected by the roots, people like you. In a few years, you will come back. You'll start spreading the pollen, and although that pollen will spread this plant, it is death for us. Once the pollen touches us, we die. This will happen to you too. You'll return to the root, and you'll explode, just like the others before you." The father's voice was barely a whisper. "Does this happen often? Does the root reject people a lot?" "Every 30 to 50 years, Hiwata said. "The last time, it was a family like yours. Bigger, though they were all rejected by the roots. But luckily, we got them all." The father's voice sharpened, cutting through the tension. "Did you eat them all?" Hiwata's head bowed slightly, a reluctant nod. "Yes." The father stared at him, his voice tight, trembling. "You're the leader, right? You're in charge?" Hiwata nodded again. "I am the most wise. Give me the lighter." The father swallowed, his eyes flickering with something dark and final. "Let me get closer to you, far from my family." His voice cracked on the word family. Hiwata's eyes narrowed, cautious, but intrigued. He nodded. The father passed his wife, brushing her hair, tears wetting his cheeks like a man already mourning. Inside the tent, he hugged his daughter, squeezing her tight as if it were the last time. His heart broke as he sealed the tent from the outside, locking them in. Slowly, he turned and walked toward Hiwata, vengeance flashing in his eyes. When he reached him, his voice was barely controlled, trembling with grief and rage. "Why did you take my family from me? We didn't do anything to you." Hiwata tilted his head, confused. "Your family is right there." The father's face twisted. "Not this family. My daddy, my mom, my siblings, my little baby brother. He was a baby." His voice shattered the stillness. "I was just a kid. And I watched it all happen." Hiwata's eyes widened in shock. "Does that mean you are—" But before Hiwata could finish, the father's body began to twitch. Tiny spores of pollen erupted from his skin, swirling in the air like ash from a fire. His eyes glowed with a sickening light. "I've been burning for 30 years, waiting for this moment." Hiwata screamed, panic ripping through him.
Everyone, run.
But it was too late. The father's body detonated, a violent storm of pollen surging out, suffocating the air. The spores reached every plant, every zombie-like creature in the clearing. They collapsed, one by one, choking on the very lifeblood that sustained them. Hiwata fell last, his eyes wide with terror as his body crumbled into the earth. In the aftermath, the forest was deathly still. Inside the tent, the mother held her daughter close, whispering, "My baby, my baby."